But yeah, it's over now. We can get started. But like, this is actually inspired by you, to be honest. Like,
Really?
you and I spoke about this a long ass time ago about starting a podcast. I know that you wanted to. I know that I wanted to. We were talking about like how we both wanted to see more podcasts in SL, and that then I left SL, and when I came back, I had heard that you'd started yours. What's it called?
Live, loud, and unfiltered. We run it on Sundays and actually twice on Sundays. It runs at 11 a.m. SLT and 7 p.m. SLT.
Oh, and that's like, does it go anywhere after that though? Is like, can I go back and watch past episodes?
Yes, actually, you can go right to SecondLife.music. There's a place right there at the top of the page where you can click and
Yep.
you can look under IndieSpectrum Radio, and there's a link
Right.
there for Live, Loud, and Unfiltered, and
Yep.
you can listen to all of the past episodes of
Yep.
different performers
Good.
and stuff like that. So yeah, very,
Yeah.
very a lot of fun, and you'll be able to hear you on there too soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the reason I remember telling you ages ago, like, I wanted to start one because there's already a bunch of podcasts in SL, but they're all the
Mhm.
same kind of vibe. Like, they're very feminine. There's like a couch with a pop plant, and there's a couple of chicks, and they're talking about shopping. And I just thought, there's no guys like. Like there's no like manly podcast that I can see, and so I thought, well, I want to start one. You know, yeah, yeah. All the women out there are just switched off. They're like, we're not watching this. I'm not going to entertain
No,
this.
don't do all man radio. We don't want to do this.
Oh, yuck, man. Yeah. But no, I wanted to talk. I just want to talk to interesting people. That's my thing. Like you, for example, the reason I wanted you to come on is because you're the kind of guy who has had your finger in every SL pie, right? Like like you've had your finger in so many pies over the years, so many different things, that you've been involved in, that like your story, quote unquote, right, is so like robust. You've kind of done it all, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I did this a little bit in the real world too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's sort of an extension, and I think to a degree, I think everybody's second life is an extension of their real life. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
kind
that
of.
to a degree, I mean, we're all real people. I mean, let's just
Yep.
so I get that part of it and stuff, but yeah, I love it, and I've gotten into different aspects of it, and obviously I started off working at Terry's place,
Yep.
and I was a
Yep.
venue owner there, and that's kind of how things got kicked off with
Yep.
me, and I really started getting into. But I was friends with a lot of the performers, and you know how the community is. I
Oh
mean, we
yeah,
all and
we all
you and
know
I
each
have
other.
talked many
Yeah.
times. Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
all buddies, and like we
Yeah.
hang
Yeah.
out, and
Yeah.
if we lived closer, we'd probably be having beers, at
Oh
the
yeah, for sure.
pub
And
and stuff.
jam
Yeah, we're probably
sessions and
doing that kind
stuff.
of
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
Oh yeah, we do that kind of stuff,
Also,
and so yeah,
oops.
go ahead.
I just wanted to say, like, I heard you were sick at some point. Like, I don't know whether it's a rumor or whether it was true or something, but I heard that you were going through some real life sickness or something. You were hurt badly or something. Is that right?
Oh yeah, yeah, I was.
What
It
happened?
was about let's see, this was I think it was 23. I want to say it was like September of 2023. I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure,
Whoa,
and I was in the hospital. I was basically in a medical coma for about two and a half
Jesus!
months.
Holy shit!
And yeah, I came out. I was in a wheelchair. I wasn't able to walk. And I mean, I obviously I'm doing a lot better now, and I'm able to get around, and I'm able to
Yeah,
do
man.
things, and I'm back to where I needed to be, health wise and stuff like that. And not really sure exactly how things got to that point. And just, I mean, obviously, I mean, things snowballed, and it got to a point, and I had gone in when I had first gotten diagnosed, and they had missed something,
Yeah,
and so obviously I got much sicker after that, and ended up going and I was having seizures and all kinds of crazy stuff,
yeah,
but fortunately, like I said, I'm doing much better now, and focusing on my health and stuff like that. But yeah, so I mean, and I know a lot of people in Second Life have to deal with that sometimes,
yeah,
and as a musician too, I mean, it's every day. I mean, it's just it's hard to be able to do much of anything with that.
yeah, yeah. And for those of you who don't know who Ninja is, and you've been living under a rock for the last 5 years, Ninja's the kind of guy that everyone in the industry knows. You know what I mean? He's one of those people that it's like you could talk to anyone in the industry, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Ninja, we know Ninja." But like one of the most interesting things that I've seen about you is this open mic thing that you started, which I think is
Oh yeah.
phenomenal. And you started it with what's her name, Wolfie Starfire, I believe, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Wolfie and I, friends for a very long time. We've known each other obviously for many years, back from the Terry's days and stuff like that. But I was looking at doing something, and again, I've always loved to reach out and work directly with performers and
Mm.
stuff like that. And Wolfie used to do a
Yeah,
lot with,
I went one time.
um,
I went there one
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah, that was fun. I
yeah,
loved it.
and yeah, she's so much she's so great, and we just work well together, and we've known each other over the years,
Yeah.
and she's been a big supporter of live musicians as well,
Oh,
and she
she
does a lot
is.
of Twitch stuff, and
She's a singing teacher. She's like a legitimate, like credentialed, like she can legitimately teach vocal lessons. A really talented artist. You know.
oh yeah, she is. She's just great. And well, and then she's just a genuinely good person too. I mean, she
There she
went through
is.
some sickness stuff as well
Yeah.
and recovered from that and has gone on and got married and is moving forward with her career and she's got an album coming out pretty soon. So
Yes, she
excited about where
does.
she's going to.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
So
I hear
so lots of cool stuff happening.
some people in SL, I swear, like you hear them and you think to yourself, like, why are you not famous? Like, what? Like, that's like, I remember the first time I heard Wolfie, like, she legitimately sounds like she's like a world class singer, belongs in a Disney film. It's amazing what she can do with her
Yeah.
vocals. And you just
Yeah.
hear singers like that, and you think, like, why are you not like, why is not 10,000 people here screaming your name? It's insane to
Yeah,
me.
no, it's crazy. I mean, there's so much good talent. I mean, yourself as well. I mean, I know you've got a lot
Yeah, I'm a
of great
hack.
music that you've
I'm a
made, and
hack. I'm a
yeah, we're all hacks. I
talentless
mean,
hack. Yeah, I'm no one.
we're all talentless hacks. But
Yeah.
but seriously though, I mean, there is some really strong talent here in SL,
Oh
and
yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
it amazes me every day that there are some people in SL that still don't realize that we actually have live music, and you can go to a
Yes,
concert
they have
just like you
no
can in
idea.
the real world, and
Yeah.
it's much
Well,
cheaper.
actually,
You know?
I've looked at the numbers, and apparently, and my numbers might be shaky because I haven't checked it in a couple of months, but it's something along the lines of 9% of the entire grid makes up the live music scene, right? Like 9% of
Something
all
right.
monthly users are involved in some way, whether it's venue owners, artists, people to go to the shows, in live music. Around 30% of the grid is the DJ scene, right? Like way bigger. And like the roleplay community is like 32% or something like that. And so you have entire swaths of SL which have nothing to do with the live music scene, like there's actually a whole bunch. There's like 3 times the amount of venues there are for live music, but they're for DJs. That's a huge
Right.
industry in SL is DJs.
Well, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I started SecondLife.music is because I saw the option there and I saw that like, look, I mean, it's bigger than that. Music
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
much bigger thing. And you have the DJ community, but you also have people in general that when you
Yeah.
go to a club or you go to a store or something like that, people listen to music. People love music. It's
Yeah, they
something
do.
that they're into. It's something that they want to be able to do. I mean, you perform music on SL, but there are people that just go and they
Yep.
just like listening to the radio, just like in real life. I mean, it's the same kind of
Yep.
thing when you're going around doing things. So that's kind of what got me started with SecondLife.music. It's like, okay, so I'm not going to just limit it to just talking to live musicians. I'll
Yeah, yeah.
talk to DJs too. I'll talk to,
Yep.
venue owners. I'll talk to, other important and very similar to what you're doing with your show. Being able to sort of just expand the horizons and let people understand like how can music work for me and my environment and the things that I'm trying to do to make
Yeah.
my SL a better place.
To me, it's about talking to interesting people. I had Sarah, Sarah Marie Philly. You know
Oh
her,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
fantastic person too.
fantastic,
I love
awesome.
her.
Yeah. So I had her on the pod like last week or something, and like we spent the whole time talking about like self-image and like reflecting on psychology, and like we went everywhere, right? And it was a
Oh yeah.
great experience, and like we barely spoke about music, and that's because Sarah is so interesting. Like I'm
Well,
interested
she's
in
a
like
fascinating
she
person. She
is,
does
yeah.
so much
Uh-huh.
and puts together even her outfits. I mean, she makes them match what she's
I know
wearing on her avatar
that's
in world.
maddening.
So
That's
cool.
so
Yeah.
much effort. I would never do that. I'd be like, I'm not gonna. I'm not. I'm lazy. Like I'm a naturally lazy person, right? So, like,
Yeah, dude, like I don't change clothes most of the time anyway.
nah. I'm like, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna match out. That sounds like a lot of work.
I
I,
know.
yeah. I'm. But the thing is, you can be lazy if you're consistent with it. If you want to
That's true.
be lazy, but just be consistently yourself. I think what I've noticed, not only in my own life, but other people's lives, is that sometimes lazy people sign up for stuff, right? They put their name in the hat for something, and then like they burn out quick, or they quit, or they regret it. And it's like, well, you got to be consistent with your laziness. You
Yeah,
can't
like to do
sign up
that,
for
like,
things.
yeah, own it. If you're gonna do it, I mean, just at least be lazy and understand that, there's an argument to be made for work smart, not hard.
Yeah,
Like
min maxing.
again,
Gamers know min maxing. Maximum output for the minimal input. Yep,
yeah. So
that's the way.
sometimes there's something to be said for that. So, and again, obviously, in a world where finances are hard and a lot of people are struggling, like, yeah, that's a real thing that we have to look at and think
Yep.
about, and
Yeah, big
and
time.
how do you move forward with that? So yeah.
Yep. Weren't you? Aren't you involved in one of SL's, if not SL's biggest magazine as well?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I'm actually the events coordinator for the SL Enquirer, which
And
is
Cell
how we'll
Enquirer.
during our open mic. Yep.
Are you guys the
And
biggest? I'm not sure. Like, it's been a while since I was up to date with everything, but I'm pretty sure SL Enquirer is the biggest, right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
They've been around certainly the longest. They've been around over 20 years. Some of the other ones have been around. I mean, again, and it's, arguably on who is the biggest. And to be honest with you, it's not even about being the biggest necessarily. It's
Yeah.
about, you know, being able to be at the table and to
Yeah.
talk to
Yeah.
everybody and to be, involved in the community. And yet my, dealings with Lanai and working with the SL Enquirer and doing it there is just another way also for remaining neutral and being able to
Yeah.
kind of approach things from an angle like when I sit down and I talk to musicians, because one of the things that's hard to explain to people is that, hey, look, I'm not biased. Like, I will literally talk to any musician. Like, I'm definitely not somebody who will sit down and say, like, I'm not too good to speak to somebody.
Yeah.
I just don't think of it that way. And I just know that so sometimes I feel like that I need to be able to go out there and to reach out and talk to somebody and that I might not necessarily always talk to, and you never know what you might learn. I
Yeah.
mean, hey, I'm very one of the things that I do, and a lot of people don't know this, is I'll pop around sometimes and poke at shows and stuff like that, and
Nice.
sometimes hidden behind the scenes, and I've even got alts and stuff that I'll use and to go to shows and stuff like that. So even if you don't see me in world, it doesn't
He
necessarily
could be
mean that I'm not.
watching. He could be watching,
Yeah.
guys, at any moment. But you guys have a lot of people that read that magazine. Like, I think I saw the numbers like 6 months ago or something. It was like, whoa. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
people go to that website, man. Like, a lot, way
Well, and
more
we
than.
keep people moving too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's and obviously, I mean, integrating things in together, and that's certainly something Lanai and I have talked about with being able to do some stuff with SecondLife.music and directly with IndieSpectrum Radio and
Yeah. What
SecondLife.music and
What's your
the SL Inquirers, all of those things.
What's your long term goal? So if you like, okay, so when I observe you doing your ninja things, what I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, is I see brand building, right? I see a guy who clearly has a vision. He wants to build a brand. He's trying all these different things. What's your like end goal? Like, what's the main thing that you haven't achieved yet, where you want to, like, is it like a standard of doing things in SL? Is it like what is it to you? Like the main thing that you're chasing in all these different things that you're
Honestly,
involved in, whether it's the open mic, the magazine, whether it's the pod, like what it is.
yeah, honestly, I think the thing that I really is my number one goal is I want to help people like you succeed and do better even beyond SL. Like,
Yeah,
I want to look at things from a much bigger picture
yeah,
and understand that as a musician, like, I mean, again, because it's you do your show in SL, and I mean, we all know, I mean, you get paid peanuts for what you do. Let's be real about that. I mean, come on. Um, but you can make money beyond that
I'm
potentially
broke,
too,
but
and you
I'm
could
happy.
potentially.
I'm poor, but I'm
Well, yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, but you're
yeah,
right. I mean, it's just, if I can find a way of being able to say, hey, look, I can get you discovered by maybe somebody else, and maybe that leads you to a real life gig, and
yeah,
something else grows from that. So being able to eventually sort of like, that's sort of my number one goal, is to be able
right,
to sort of develop the community better in a way that can make it presentable into the real world, where I
yeah, yeah,
also work in the real world in this business too, just to make life better for everybody, and also
yeah,
to make things easier. Because as a musician, I'm sure that you've you've realized over the years, man, posting in like 50 different
Yep.
SL groups, and then
Yep.
another like
Doing all the
100
social
on
media and
Facebook,
stuff, and
and yeah, just
yep.
everywhere in posting. So looking at ways of sort of being able to make those things interesting, and
Well,
also including parts of the community that don't get
yeah.
touched, like with Wolfie and I working with the open mic and working with newer musicians and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But also kind of going back and looking at things like memorials and
Yeah.
even charity work and stuff like that, because there's a lot of charities in
Oh,
SL,
there's tons. I'm
but
doing
there's
it.
not
I'm doing
really
two this
ways
month.
of
Two charity
yeah,
shows.
but there's no way of being able to sort of keep everything all in one place and like to know, and obviously you go into SL events, and again, nothing against anybody, and I don't think it's just it's being able to sort of organize things in a way that's going to be better for you as a musician to get your music and your
Mm.
name
Well,
out
I had
there
the
to help build
Showbuzz
your own.
guy on. I had Gabriel on the pod a couple of weeks back, and Showbuzz. He invented the Showbuzz app, and I mean that tool's pretty cool. I think. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think Showbuzz is pretty cool. I mean, I've looked around at it and stuff like that, and seen what he's sort of building and working with that community as well,
Yeah.
working with the DJs and also working with live musicians to give them another option of being able to do that. And obviously, SecondLife.music, we have our own listings and stuff too.
Yeah,
Um,
you guys have a database of SL musicians. I think
yeah,
I was on the website in
yeah,
late
smart.
January, and I uploaded a bunch of music to it and stuff like that. So you
Yeah,
guys should
yeah,
have
you
all of
can
my originals.
click on IndieSpectrum Radio. You can click right there and click on request and type in Samuel James, and you can pull you right up and
Hmm.
listen to. I think you've got a good 40 tracks on there, so a
Yeah,
bunch of.
yeah. I sent you a bunch of stuff. I was like, I don't know what ones to send, so I just sent whatever. But yeah, no.
No,
To me, that's not. I don't have. Like that sounds very selfless and lofty, and that's nice. My goals are not that way. Like I'm not a bad person. I consider myself an okay human. I do care about people, but my goals are more primitive, I think, and more selfish. Although I don't like the term selfish because it has connotations that I think are untrue. I think a correct term is more um, self-serving. I don't know if that's worse or not, but anyway. So my goal, I guess, is I just want to get 2 shows a day with around 40 people on average at each show and enough income so that I can pay all my bills and have a cappuccino on the weekends. That's kind of
yeah,
like what I want. It's real simple. Like people tell me, like I had one lady today tell me, she said to me, she sent me a message and she's like, you should have 10,000 people and you should be famous, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I did the usual thing where you smile and you say, thank you so much. I really appreciate you saying that. But at the same time, I would not want that at all. And when real life gigs come before me, I deny them and turn them down because, as an autistic person, I actually don't like the real world or the people in it, and I don't want fame or anything like that. And I'm content to be an SL musician until I die, and just if I could just have enough so that all my stuff's taken care of, and I'm able to just on a whim buy myself a cappuccino every now and then. That'd be nice. I think I'd be happy with
yeah.
that.
And I think that's actually a good, sort of baseline to kind of go with, because I kind of feel that way too. Like I don't ever expect to be rich one day. I mean, like yeah, it's great if when people, if and when people do decide to donate and stuff like that, like that's a wonderful thing. But I
Yeah.
also know that it's not guaranteed and that people have their own struggles that they have to deal with. So I understand that, and I understand that, and again, I mean, as a former venue owner in SL, I'll be the first person to tell you that running a venue isn't about making money. Like it's about doing it because you love it. It's not
Yeah.
because you're trying to make money off of
No,
it.
no. Well, that's the thing too. So it's like in the real world,
Hmm.
you're a publican. We call it here. You pay a band or a musician to come in, and you know that because you've paid them, they're going to bring people, and those people that they're bringing are going to buy alcohol. And the money you make from that alcohol is not only going to reimburse you for what you paid the artist for, but it's also going to give you reimbursement for the night's alcohol and a little bit of extra profit at the end of the night. And so you end up
except for
making
night since you're
money.
slower and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it
Yeah,
pays your
yeah,
rent. It
exactly.
takes, but the thing with SL is there's no alcohol for sale. There's no product. It's like, why does a publican want live music? Well, to bring people in. Why do they want to bring people in? So that people can buy alcohol. Why do they want to sell alcohol? So they can make money, right? Like, whereas in SL, there's like the people coming in offer nothing to the venue. And you might
Well,
say, oh, but
they
venue, people tip the venue, but it's never like, here's the dirty secret, guys. I'm going to be brutally honest right now. The problem is the Lindens, because the money they charge people to rent a sim is astronomically higher than it costs them to run a sim on their own servers. Astronomically higher. And so the Lindens are exceedingly overcharging people for their land rentals. And so these venue owners, some of them have to pay hundreds a month to rent their land. And the venues could, the Lindens could get away with charging $6 per sim, but they will never do that. They refuse to do that. And so I think that's the problem. If the prices of the sims were lower, we would be inundated with a lot more venues, and we would actually see these venue owners making profit. Do you disagree with that, or do you think I'm too harsh?
No, I think that's a fair assessment. One thing I will say is I think there is a piece of this that does certainly rest on the venue owners themselves.
Yeah.
And I say this because there are a lot of venues out there, and I'm not going to name any names, obviously, but there are quite a few venues out there that have a tendency to book shows without really thinking about why they're booking a show. Like they're
Mm.
holding events and they don't really have a purpose behind the event.
Yeah.
And when you do things like that, I mean, it's kind of like, you bring a rock guy and a rap guy and you put them right next to each other, even though their
Yeah.
crowd
Yeah. Yeah.
totally not going to create, like, so you kind of do that. And the Lindens are bad about that too. With the birthdays and stuff like that. I've seen them do that as well. And that does kind of create an environment for you as a musician where it's like you're not competing on an on an equal playing field like you are in
Yeah.
the real world. You've got an X number of bars within a certain,
Yeah.
proximity or something like that. Well, on here, you might have 10,000 bars, but you also have 10,000 musicians
Yeah.
and of varying
Mm.
degrees of talent. And so you're kind of having to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to sort of, go through and that's one of the reasons I love working with IndieSpectrum Radio too, is obviously going through and hearing this talent and giving you an opportunity to sample the talent before you go
Yep.
to a show.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yep.
go and put your music there. And then as it pops up and you listen to it on your stream, you're like, hey, that would be cool. I can check them out. And then you can go to the directory and you can find out where they're going
Yep.
to be doing a show. And then you can just kind of go from there. So that's the goal to make life easier for people. And
Yep.
then, like I said, we're going to do some Twitch things where we'll do some straight Twitch shows where we don't actually use SL at all because we don't have to. And
I used
but
to
it's because
stream
you're
on Twitch. I used to do that. I grew it to something like 250 followers, and it was pretty good for a while. But I ultimately stopped because I didn't want to take people out of SL. Because I noticed that the reason I started was because a few of my fans would say to me, "I'd love to come to a show, but I'm driving and I can't." And so I thought, well, I'll just stream on Twitch. That way, those stragglers who can't make it can catch a show anyway on their phones, right? They can dock their phone into their car Bluetooth. They can listen while they drive. But what ended up happening is, like, 5, 10 people were on the Twitch and they weren't at the SL show. And I was like, this is not good. Like, I don't want them, they're not coming to the SL show because I'm on Twitch. And I was like, I don't want, nah, I'm gonna stop doing that.
Well, I think it's more about like they're two different audiences, right? Like your audience for Twitch is one audience, and then your audience for NSL is another audience. And I
Yep.
think you have to almost market to them separately. Like you
Yep.
almost have to
Yep.
like and I mean more money on Twitch and I mean the donations are easier and they're treated, the Lindens, you don't have to pay the money coming in world
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Something to be said for that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's not as regular though. Like, what I noticed about Twitch is, like, you make more money, but it's not as guaranteed. Like if I could take someone who's new to SL, never played a show, has no fan base at all, a complete unknown. I could talk to Cafe Music, get you on the stage there tomorrow morning, and you're gonna make probably $10. in tips. You know, that's most likely going to happen, and you don't have a fan base, and it's kind of guaranteed. Like you're going to make at least $5, like for sure. Whereas with Twitch, like I'd stream 10 shows and wouldn't make a single buck, but then on that 11th show, I'd make $80 in subs or whatever.
Which makes up for it, right? And
Yeah.
and it's like, so at a certain degree. So yeah, I mean, everybody I think needs to sort of balance things on their own time. But again, and that's another reason why the options that I'll make available for Twitch are sort of reserved for those situations where
Yeah.
where it makes sense. So obviously, if you're doing a Twitch show, like maybe you do a solely Twitch show, well, there's nothing saying that I can't carry that show where people could listen to it not only
Mm-hmm.
on through Twitch, but they can also listen to it through IndieSpectrum Radio in World. So it kind of
Yep.
works in both directions. So it gives you an opportunity to listen to more people, and it also gets rid of the one piece of it that really gets rid of
Yeah.
is the limit how many people can actually be on the sim.
Yes,
So
that's another thing too.
um,
But also, guys, if you don't know, he keeps saying IndieSpectrum, IndieSpectrum. There's this radio station that Ninja has given us. It's basically imagine a normal land stream, but it's all original songs and legitimate music from live artists in SL. Like it's like a top 40 radio station, but all the artists are homegrown SL people, by the way.
Current and former, yep. And there's
Yep.
we've got over 3,000 tracks,
Yep.
over 50 different current and former SL performers. Actually, I think it's probably quite more than that. It's
Yep.
probably closer to 150.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's been around since 2006, and Fox Ranch and Jade Jennings are my
Mm-hmm.
co-owners with Indie Spectrum, and they're
Jade's great.
absolutely phenomenal
Jade's
people as
always
well.
been
Yep,
kind
Jade's
to
great.
me. She's a beautiful person. Oh, by the way, how many artists, like, do you feel like the amount of artists in SL has gone down? Because when I first came to SL, I swear it was something like 400. But if you were to ask me now, I would say something like 200. Like, do you feel like it's dropped? Like, do you feel like there's less musicians today than there was 4 years ago?
I actually think it's more different musicians today.
Yeah.
What I'm starting to notice and what I'm starting to see behind the scenes is, obviously there are people that retire, and so like Sky Galaxy, and
There are people.
he
Yep.
retired and decided to
Oh,
step
dude,
away. And I mean, and it,
Sky, let's hold on. Let's stop the phone real quick. Listen, people. Oh my God.
I know I dropped.
First
I'm
time I
sorry.
heard Sky, I cried. All right, listen. If y'all haven't heard Sky, you missed out. All right, Sky was the greatest, and I don't care who's hearing this. I don't care if you're jealous. Sky was the greatest musician to ever do it, in my opinion. He is hauntingly good. Oh my goodness me. What a shame he quit. What a blessing he was to the grid. Oh my God.
Every once in a while, he'll pop back in World for Chauffeur Bruno.
Like an
They're very good
Olympian
friends, and yeah.
god descending from Olympus to grace us with his appearance. Oh my God. I wish I could play half as good as him. I'm unworthy to tune his guitar. What an amazing artist he was. Wow.
I know, and there's some just phenomenal. Well, there's some great people throughout the years too. I mean, people that have been around and sort of lended heart. I mean, obviously, we've lost some great people over the
We
years
have.
too, and
We have. We've lost some good
you're
ones.
just great talent out there. And I'm actually working on a memorial for Indie Spectrum Radio. It's up and it's just kind of getting
Yeah.
started, but you can go there for SecondLife.music. Click right up there at the top for the in memorial, and
Yeah.
click on that and kind of explore and add people if you want to. If people have passed away, again, it's just a few folks up there now, but
Wait, what's
but
that
as you have
place?
memories and stuff.
What's that place that whiskey go around? Hasn't that place
Oh, yeah.
got a plaque of like the greats? Like, don't they, like, if you've played long enough in SL where you've earned the respect of the OGs, they've got a plaque wall there with all these great musicians that have come before us. It's like we stand on the shoulders of giants. When I came here in SL and I started to play gigs, there was an atmosphere that there were two different crowds. There was the OGs, and then there was us, the new kids that were doing our thing. And
Yeah.
I remember I used to look at those OGs like, oh my God, I hope they like me. I hope they don't think I'm an idiot or something like
I
that.
know.
But it's so crazy because now that I've been doing it for a couple of years, I notice a third crowd coming in, and so now I'm kind of an OG, right? Like I got the OG still, I still got the giants
Yeah.
who I look to and respect, right? You know, people like Two Step, right? Like all these like people that have been doing it for, since the dawn of creation, and I came in after them.
No,
And then
mine. Oh yeah.
then there's this new crowd that's come in the last year or so, and they're like the new kids on the block, and I'm like the old one now, It's
Yeah,
funny.
it's kind of cool to be able to, and I like the rotation, and that's one of the things I love about music on SL is because I can listen to people from all over the world. I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter necessarily where you're at or where you're,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, you're physically at. I mean, I'm here at Nashville, and you're, way overseas, and so it's just,
Yes.
like, I mean, you just never know, and you never know who's going to be at your show. You never know who's going to be listening to you. And again, just being able to sort of, not only think about things in a way of like, yeah, hey, I'm here on SL and I want to go to this venue and stuff like that, but you've also got multiple venues happening all at the same time. And how can you sort of take those things and say, I'm bored, I'm looking for something to do, but I look at events and it's just a hodgepodge of all kinds of stuff. So how do
Mm-hmm.
we start narrowing that down and making it easier? And I think things like SecondLife.music and Showbuzz and other resources that are out there and stuff like that are great. And then also United Rhythms. They've
Mm.
started a new thing right now.
Yes, I'm in
They're
their
doing
Discord.
yes,
Yeah, yeah, they're
yeah.
starting. Well, I think from what I can read, because I just kind of joined recently, from what I can read, Blue and those guys, they want to create an atmosphere of community. That's what I think when I look at what they're
Mhm.
doing. It's like they've got this hangout that they encourage musicians to come to, and they do like joint events and stuff, and they're more about like forming a community within the industry, which I think is a great thing.
Oh yeah, and and they've also made it to where it's an open music sound, which is
It
something that
is.
SL is really not seen. And I think that approaching things from that perspective to and again we are a partner for SecondLife.music with them. I've obviously I do some stuff with them and they support me and I support them as well. But one of the reasons why I like supporting them is because they do offer they've got like seven different venues or something like that set up,
They
but
do.
it's also set up for people to perform anytime they want to.
Yep.
You can just set up and you're in the group, you can set up and run your stream and drop a tip jar and go at it,
Yep.
and hold an event and just go to town. And I think that having those sort of opportunities, especially for newer musicians that haven't really gotten a chance to get their name out there yet, it's just a wonderful opportunity to experience some new talent
Mm-hmm.
and really just have some old folks around like Fryer and Frog and some of the other great folks that hang
Friars,
around
they're
there.
such nice people. Friar's great. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
used to play. Didn't they have a venue at one point a long time ago? I used to play at a rooftop venue somewhere. Somewhere, I forget where it was, but I remember Fryer was the venue owner. This was years ago now. I remember that. Don't remember
We'll
what
have
it
to
was
ask him
called.
about that. I don't remember the venue that he owned before, but I know he's been around for a while,
Yep.
and there's been quite a few others that have kind of gone through the years and stuff like that. And that's another thing about from a musician perspective is, and eventually as time moves on and things start continue building with Second Life Music, I'd like to get into exploring this a little bit as well. But there's people like Noma that
Yes,
sit down
Noma's
and
incredible.
she's an excellent artist. Like she
Yep.
makes some tremendous art, like
Really
just absolutely
talented.
beautiful stuff. And there's other talented people too that Spirit led. He makes creations in
Yep.
world, and he
Yep.
it makes clothing and different things and stuff like that. So I mean, there's some just really great talent out there on top of what you do as a musician
Yep.
and stuff like that. That I think that is another way again of you as a musician being able to to monetize and to be able to sort of get the word out and say, hey, look, I mean, support me in whatever way that you can. And so finding different ways of being able to support you as a musician was sort of the brainchild behind Second
You,
Life
you know
Music
what?
to start with. Is like, yeah.
You know what it is? Like the vibe of what we have here in SL in the music scene is kind of like the vibe of like a 60s Bob Dylan cafe musician era where it's like
Yeah.
we're like it's such a good atmosphere. It's like Seattle in the Pearl Jam days, It's like we're a
Oh
part of this cool
yeah.
movement. I love like the thing is you people assume that you must be arrogant being a musician and like they'll say things to you like, oh, you're good, like, but it's like you have to understand how hard it is to be prideful when you're fucking friends with Max DeClean, when you're fucking friends with Tally, there are so many talented people that are surrounding each one of us. These singers. It's like some of their friends are absolute weapons when it comes to talent, right? You got like Sarah, we mentioned before. We've got Amfort, right? We've got Ember Lee. Like there is incredible artists in SL. So it's like, are musicians arrogant? No,
yeah.
no. It's hard to be arrogant when you are easily humbled when you attend a Noma Felter show and you are just floored by the technicality, by the immense talent. You know, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
And there's new talent out there too
There
that
is.
just kind of, I mean, again, I've been, in the business in the real world for probably 30 years, um, but I've run into talent in SL where I'm just kind of like, man, that's better than some of the stuff that I hear here in
Yeah.
Nashville. And, I mean, that's better than some of the things that I've heard, literally that make it on the radio.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
And
I've
when you,
been to the local bar. I mean, go to the local bar.
yeah,
You're not going to hear. You might hear someone as good as Max, but most likely not. Like, yeah, there's a standard. That's another amazing thing, is I don't know where it comes from, but I would like to go back to the beginning of SL Music and figure out when the standard came in. There is a standard. It's unspoken, but we all know it. There is a standard to SL Music, and I'm not talking about talent, by the way. I'm talking about production. That you need to have that sound, that DAW sound, that DAW sound with the good mic, with the nice reverb. Like there is a production standard in the SL Music scene, which is absolutely needed. Like you need to know that when you go to a live show, that there's going to be a level of professionalism with the sound itself. You know, I
I
love
agree. I
that.
mean, I think, yeah. Yeah, I think it's nice to be able to, to know that you're going to get this sort of. And again, I mean, I think there's room for people, and there's been the whole discussion between tips only venues and venues that pay their
Oh
performers.
yes,
Now,
the age old discussion. Yeah.
and I'm going to jump into this real quick, and
Okay.
I'm going to give you my opinion, and some
Yeah,
people
sure.
agree with this opinion, and some people do not. So, as a former venue owner, my position on tips only venues and not venues that pay fees and stuff like that. I personally prefer. I think there's room for both of them. I think there's room
Yeah.
for the tips only venues, and I think there's certainly room for the venues that pay performers themselves. My feeling is that if I bring you in for a charity show, I should still pay for your fee. And if you choose to donate that as a performer, then that's on you.
That's
And then
interesting.
I don't think I should get a discount and not have to pay because, again, you're still providing a service for me. So
Yeah.
I feel like you as a performer, I owe you that much respect. And so I've always sort of conducted business that way. And different people are different ways. And sometimes I'll, give it to a performer and they'll give it back to me or something. And but it's an unspoken rule
Yeah.
with me. If I give you a donation, it's obviously there for a reason. And I know that you'll do the right thing or you'll do what you want to do. Or if you don't donate, then some of your fans will. That's sort of the point. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing this for a charity to raise money for the charity. I'm not doing this to get off with me paying less money.
Yeah.
Like I'm putting this on. And so I think sometimes in SL, people get away from that and they forget about sort of the purpose behind this and the reason why we're here. If we're really here to raise money for a charity, then we also need to understand that the people involved are part of those expenses that
Yeah.
you have to
Uh-huh.
and something. I mean, in the real world, it's like that. I mean, you're not going to get Keith Urban or somebody like that to show up at a show if you're not going to pay him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's likely that, and I mean, if he's right there in your town or something like that, he might come around, like maybe. But generally speaking, no. I mean, he's not going to like it's not. There's nothing there that's going to make him want to participate. So, what can we do to make things better?
Yeah.
So that you can continue to make shows and
Yeah.
more people sample your music and know who you are. So,
Oh, I think the tip only venues are absolutely crucial. Like 100%. I wrote an article a long time ago that some people misunderstood, and I apologize to anybody
I remember that.
that misunderstood
Yeah.
that. Let me try and clarify what I was trying to say after all these years, because people were not happy with me. I was saying that the community, this live music community that we have, is so diverse. you have everything from the ultra professional people that we all know should be famous, like Amber Lee, who is a goddess in her talent,
Oh,
right?
she's great.
All the way
Yeah.
from people who is just a single dad from Idaho, and he used to sing back in high school, but he hasn't for a long time, and he likes to bring out the old guitar and he likes to play a few songs, and it reminds him of the old days, and he's that's fine too. And I was trying to communicate that there's lots of different kinds of music in SL, and I think that there is an attitude, which is a bad attitude. I think there is a poo-poo attitude that some people get against like tip-only venues, because it's like, oh, they have just tip-only artists, and it's like, that's such a toxic attitude, because music is about self-expression. And like everybody should have the right and freedom to express themselves. And if you can find a stage where you can find a following and an outlet to share some of your heart through music, which is what music is, right? It's emotion. And just because you're not as good as Max, here's the dirty secret: no one's as good as Max. I'm not as good as Max. I never will be, right? But the
I'm
thing,
not as good as Max.
well, he's just amazing, right? But the thing is
Yeah, he
just
is.
because you're a tip only artist, it doesn't mean that you're less valuable to the grid, or that you don't have as much talent or input on the grid. Like, you are absolutely needed. In fact, I would say that we probably need to move away from this attitude of how would I put it? Legitimate, like, I'll give you an example. I had a conversation. I'm going to throw my wife under the bus here. I had the conversation with her the other day where she wanted to play in SL, and she wanted to learn guitar to do that and to sing. And I said, you won't be able to do that. It takes like 10 years to learn guitar properly, and you can't just learn it and start playing in SL. That's not how instruments work, because she doesn't know, right? And she said, well, I don't want to use backing tracks. And I said, why? And she's like, well, it just doesn't seem authentic. And I said, no, that's not true at all. Like, I said, Beyonce, Ariana Grande, like, all these artists use backing tracks. None of them are playing a guitar on stage. Like that, this attitude that like there's an authentic way to do music, and then there's an inauthentic way to do music, I think is
Well,
toxic.
it's the DJ live singer conversation too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always been that sort of unspoken rule that, oh, well, you're a live singer and you're a DJ, and we just don't get along. I had a DJ one time at Terry's that kind of felt that way, and was just very anti live music. And I'm sorry. I mean, again, if you're not into the live music thing, that's fine, but you have to understand that some people are,
Yeah.
and there are people that are into it, and there are people that enjoy it, and there are people that that participate in that scene. And again, just because that's not your scene, and just because you see that there's more people showing up at the live singer events than they're showing up at the DJ events, doesn't make the live singers bad.
Or
It
more,
also
yeah.
doesn't make the DJs bad. It also means that there needs to maybe be some bigger discussion about entering things in together. So, like, I
Yeah.
mean, for instance, you have all these different clubs in SL. So I have 3,000 tracks on IndieSpectrum radio and they're all original tracks by all SL performers.
Yep.
And they're all different styles of music, right? They're not just rock, they're folk, there's some trance. I actually have a couple of trance tracks on there now. I've got some new stuff. I've actually, working with Space Unicorn Radio and some other folks. So we're starting to kind of add some new additions. So these are things that could eventually make it onto the radio stations in SL beyond SecondLife.music and
Nice.
beyond IndieSpectrum Radio, and to get played at the clubs. Like, I mean, if you
Yeah.
want to be a DJ and you want to play the latest, hottest hit from an actual SL performer that could potentially show up at a show, then yeah, there's ways of doing that. But people need to kind of approach things from a more inclusive perspective, instead of thinking about things like, let's just stay in our little clicky box
Yep.
and not think about like how we can work together to make the world not only a better place for us to just spend our spare time in, because I mean, that's what Second Life is, but also to where we could potentially just, enjoy what we're doing and not be, tied down by
Hmm.
limitations that we're not expecting, or that we just don't, want to have to deal with.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think like every musician that I've met and interacted with has been extremely generous, extremely humble, extremely good. Like, I've never met a toxic musician in SL, which is really fascinating, because you'd think there'd be a lot of personality and a lot of ego, but there's actually not. And like I mentioned a couple of these names, right? And these are some of the people I just look up to, right? And you might have your own people that you look up to, but like these people, like Max, like Emberly, they're actually incredibly nice. They're so humble and they're so down to earth. And I just feel like this attitude of musicians thinking they're better than each other is not really a thing. I don't see it in the community I'm in. I've never ever in my life felt like another musician in SL thinks they're better than me. In fact, I've been nothing but encouraged by other musicians, you know. But one thing I will say though, I get really uncomfortable when some of them turn up to my shows because I just feel so nervous and out of depth. Like sometimes a musician who's really good will turn up to my shows and I'll just feel like, oh God, I better play good. I better sing good. Oh God, they're gonna think I'm a hack. You know, I get so self conscious, and I feel like when people hear me talk like this, some of my friends, they try to help me by encouraging me to be more positive about myself. But I actually disagree with that. I think it's really healthy to have this perspective. Like, there's nothing there's nothing grosser than when you hear a story about someone's interaction with with a musician they're a fan of, and the musician is like rude and arrogant and thinks their time is valuable. Like
And
that's
I've dealt with
such
that so many times too in the real world. Yeah,
yeah
no, that's just unfortunate,
yeah
and
it's
but it
ugly.
happens way more than you'd think. Yep.
Yeah. I pray that I always have this attitude like I'm not good enough. Like I think how would I okay, how do I see myself? I see myself as like if the best musician in SL is 10 and the worst is 1, I see myself as like a 4. I think I see myself as like a mid-range artist, and I think that's really healthy, you know. I think I personally, I think I'm a realist. You know, I just look at the facts. I look at how many people I'm bringing in. I look at my group
There's nothing
size.
wrong with that either. I mean, I think being realistic instead of thinking that you're always a 10
Yeah.
and I mean again and I know you've been through your own set of just dealing with crazy people and stuff on SL and rumors that just get out of hand and all
Oh
that.
yeah, that
We've
happens
all
for
had
sure.
our
Yep.
dealings with that. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's just that's part of SL, and
That
it's
is.
an unfortunate part of SL, but some people just it's the way it is.
Yeah, but I
but
think it always pays to be kind to people. You know, I had an interaction with someone the other day, and it was someone I greatly hurt in the past, and they were quite upset with me at the time, and I was very nice to them at the time, and then I reflected after that conversation, and I thought to myself, how many times in the midst of that conversation did I want to um, what would you say, defend myself? But then I stopped and I thought to myself, if somebody is hurt by something you did, the only thing that needs to be said is sorry, right?
yeah,
Like,
only
and
thing you can say.
yeah, really. And then I thought, uh, I thought nothing of it. And then like a week later, they came to my show, and I was so blessed by that, and the fact that they bothered to come, right, knowing how they feel about me. And then after it was over, they gave me a compliment, and I just thought, wow, the power of kindness, the power of love. It's like, I think even like drama in SL is an interesting thing because we all go through it. But what if it wasn't about being right or being correct? What if it was about being kind and being loving? And if if you've said something, if I've said something in the past that has offended people, maybe the only response to that is let's look at what I said and let's see how we can change that attitude and do better in the future so that we can create an atmosphere of love, you know? I think that's the best way
I think
forward,
it's a
you know?
great Yeah, I think it's a great attitude to have because I mean I think there's a lot of people in SL that focus on things that are I mean if you think about things in the real world and what's most important here, like what really matters.
Yeah.
No matter what, I mean again, everybody goes through difficult times and has their little challenges and has, crazy ex-girlfriends or, whatever kind of nonsense drama that happens to be,
Yep.
floating down your path this particular week. But when that happens and and people misunderstand you and they don't understand, they are like, oh, you're a racist or you're a or this or that or the other. And it's not about that necessarily. I mean, it's about, hey, look, I'm trying to fit in. I'm trying to be open to everybody and to be kind to everyone. to give everyone an equal opportunity to be able to do things. And I'm only one person, so I can only do so much. But
Yeah.
again, I mean, how can I participate in a way? And, if I start feeling like that, I mean, you mentioned, feeling uncomfortable, something like that. I think it's great for musicians to, and I love musicians supporting other musicians. I think that's probably one of the best things on SL that I love to see. And I've actually hired musicians and I've seen you do it. Showing up at somebody else's show and just being there to sort of support them and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that means the world, like
Yeah.
showing up at a venue or showing up at their show just because you support them. I think that's important. And I don't think a lot of people just really realize exactly how much that matters. And
Yeah.
it's
I think
again
it's
just maintaining those
because
relationships.
I think it's because we all crave the approval of our peers. I think that's what it is. There was this one musician in SL, and for some idiotic reason, he looked up to me. I don't know what his problem was, but for whatever reason it was, he just looked up to me. And so I would come to his shows, and he would be like honored to play in front of me, and nervous about what I thought about his set and stuff like that. And I thought like, if is that how people like Tally feel? Is that how these people feel when it's like, it's amazing. One positive thing said from a well-known musician can completely uplift your day as a smaller musician. Like, sometimes people have been really kind to me when they didn't have to be. They had no obligation to be. Like, just the other day, someone came to my show, a singer that I think is, this singer gets 90 people at their shows. This singer's about as good as it gets. They're one of the top. They're in most people's top 4. And they came to my show, and they gave me a compliment after the show that was just amazing. And it was the first time in a long time I believed in myself. And it's because they said it. They're my peer, and they approved of what I did, And I feel like it doesn't cost anything to support each other, And I feel like
No, absolutely not.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the support of our peers that we crave. It's like, if you make fish tanks and the best fish tank makers around look at your stuff and go, pretty good, that means the world to you. And you might have tons of people who buy your fish tanks being like, you make the best fish tanks ever. But that doesn't mean as much as a really critically acclaimed fish tank maker says good work, I think.
Yeah. Well, and it matters. I mean, you're the influence, the things that you say. I mean, they do. And I've learned that, way many, too many times is, look, you say something and, it gets taken as gold and people tend to believe it. And sometimes they take it a little bit too far and miss what's important
Yeah.
and sort of go from there. But yeah, I mean, I think supporting and just being able to sort of show that support in the community and the camaraderie in SL, I mean, between the music community, I think is unmatched. And
Yeah.
I think it's really wonderful to see that and to see people just sort of reach out and be willing to support each other in their time of need.
Yeah, I think so. Like, okay, I have certain people that I would say, I wouldn't say they're my idols, but I would say I listen to them as if what they say is gospel. Certain people in the industry that I just respect the hell out of. Like, if they tell me I'm doing something wrong, like they think I should do it another way, I'm going to pivot and do whatever they say, right? And I think it's important to have that. And I think in a culture built around stardom and built around platform, it's not always granted that we have mentors. But I think mentors are crucial. And I think, like, if you haven't got a mentor, you should find one. You should find someone like Ninja. You should find someone like that to, like, listen to their wisdom and listen to their advice. Like, I was talking to someone the other day about this, and I was just asking them questions over and over again. I'm like, why do you do it this way? What do you think I should do? What do you hear when you're doing? Like, I'm just trying to get all the wisdom I can. And I feel like the healthiest, you know, when we compare ourselves to other artists, I've had people like tell me not to do that and tell me that we shouldn't compare. But I think the opposite. I think comparing is needed. I need to compare myself to these people I look up to because I want to be as good as them one day. and I strive to be like them. And I need to compare myself to people like Tally and be like, oh my God, like I want my sound to have that crispness. I want my reverb to have that haunting feel to it. Like, what can I learn? You know, a lot of times when I go to venues, by the way, I'm actually listening to learn. I'm actually
Hmm.
listening to, like, what's their sound? Like, how are they EQ'd? Like, what are they doing differently to me that I can learn from? I think that's healthy. Like,
Oh yeah.
you can't just be like, well, we're all, it's like everyone gets a trophy. We're all as good as each other and love, love, love. And it's like, yeah, that's good. We should love each other. But if you're not as good as Max, what can we do to change that? Now, you might not be there tomorrow, but what can we do today to make one small step closer to being as good as what he does? And to me, it's
Well,
about
and you
like
talk
learning.
about
Yep.
yeah, and you talk about being kind and stuff, and this actually reminds me of, and I talked a little bit about this with Abby Jadoff a few weeks ago on my show, but I was it was the last time I had Kat Vargas, and I don't know if you ever got a chance to meet Kat, but an absolutely phenomenal person in the music world here at SL, and just just an absolutely great friend, and sorry that we lost her,
Yep.
but I was at a show with her, and she was managing Max at the
Yep.
time,
I
and
remember.
so it was a triple stream. It was Max Clean, I believe it was Fly Coogan and Zach Kale, I think
Yep.
was the three people that were doing the triple stream. So anyway, I put this together, and it was the first time that the three of them, I mean, they had all kind of worked together separately, but they had never kind of gotten together. And I put this together and back in the Terry's days. And so I'm sitting there and, and just kind of going through and setting the show up and, running the streams behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff that a club owner does, that a venue owner does. And I get messaged by one of the people in the audience. And it turns out that this particular person was a nurse and
Yep.
the real world. And they were actually at work as a nurse in the real world in a cancer ward. And this person told me that they actually had
Mm.
the audio on their computer in the cancer ward, and that everybody
Wow.
there were like 15 people or something there, were listening intently and smiling as they were
Wow.
listening to the broadcast. And that to me made me feel like, I helped put
Wow.
this together, and this just made me feel so, and I had to share it obviously with Kat and Kat Vargas, and also with Max. And after the fact, it just let them know that, man, this is I mean, that's the reason I do this right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
If I
That's
make
amazing.
one person happy, I cannot make any money at all. But if I can make one person happy and manage to make one person go home feeling like, what, I'm a better person inside because of what I experienced tonight. If I
Yep.
can do that one time, then I've done my job.
Yeah,
That's
that's
how I
happened to
feel.
me a few times. Like sometimes a fan will say, "Man, I really needed that. I had a bad day," and like I remember one time I got a message from someone. She said to me, she goes, I played your song." She named the song, and she's like, "I played your song at my brother's funeral. It was his favorite song." And I thought, wow, man, it's like that means more than all the accolades, right? Like when your music, I remember, oh, dude, what I don't know, I'll tell you this story. This one time I was at a Tally show, and I was in tears. He was just touching. He was just playing touching
Hallie,
music, and yeah,
he's like
exactly.
that. He does that.
And so
Yeah,
I'm
I
and so
know.
I'm in tears, and I see a fan of mine at the show, and I'm pretty friendly with my fans. I get to know them, and so I reached out to this fan, and I said, "Oh my God, this guy has me in tears. This is so beautiful." And then she said to me something that I'll never forget, and I didn't deserve. And she said, "Now you know how we feel when we go to your shows." And I just thought, wow, man, if that's even
Oh,
remotely true, then
I
then
know. It's
every day I'm
half
lucky to
true.
be
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
great. And talking about Tally specifically, and yeah, he's an absolutely outstanding performer. I
His
mean, that's
daughter
another one like
too.
Sky Galaxy. I mean, he's just
I
and
mean,
just modest and just a genuinely good person. And yeah, and
yep.
Gwen too. His daughter.
Gwen,
You're right. His Gwen, his
yes,
daughter, is
she's
just absolutely
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, she really is. But I remember one time, this was back in the Terry's days too, with Tally specifically, that it was before his show, and I had a habit of just kind of sitting around shooting the breeze and turning
Yep.
voice on in World and stuff like that. It's just, I've always been, and I do the same thing after the open mics at the
Yep.
that Wolfie and I do and stuff. I just flip the mic, and just kind of chat with folks and just be like, hey, look, I'm here. Like, I don't have to walk right out the door when we're done. I can actually sit here and have a conversation with you and stuff. So I would do that kind of stuff and I would sit around. So anyway, Tally was there and we were talking a little bit on voice before the show and the song, Tennessee Whiskey,
Mm-hmm.
the topic of conversation came up with that song. And so Tally kind of broke out with, well, okay, and this was before his set started. I'll just do a quick impromptu version of it if you just want to flip my stream and throw my stream in World real quick. So I
Yep.
did. And it was like a cappella, the
Yep.
most beautiful thing I've ever seen and heard in my
Yeah,
entire
yeah,
life. I
yeah. That's Tally.
swear.
That
It
sounds
was
like Tally.
absolute
Yeah,
off the cuff though, like
yeah.
completely just like, and I had, those are one of those, and the only thing that even came close to that, I think in my, in my life is years ago, I was interviewing I had a public affairs show, radio show that I was doing, and I was interviewing John Kassir, who's the voice of the
Mm-hmm.
Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. I don't know if you remember
Yep.
him, but that guy, and and he was also Buster Bunny and Tiny Toon Adventures, and he's been in
Yeah.
some
Wow.
other stuff too. So he's been in a lot
Been
of stuff,
everywhere.
but generally he's known as the Crypt Keeper. So anyway, I interviewed him, and it was a Halloween show and stuff. So I just that was kind of the reason that I picked him up, was for the Crypt Keeper purpose and stuff like that. So I'm talking to him, and I ask him as I'm setting up the interview, I'm like, so what do you need any sort of special like configuration, like a special line to come in to, to make the Crypt Keeper noise and stuff like that, and he proceeded to have a conversation between 11 people, four of them female, all by himself
Yep.
with each other, and introduced them all to each other and just started talking back and
Wow.
forth. And
Yeah.
my jaw just
Cinema.
dropped. Like, I mean, how do you even, I mean, and they're like, some several of them aren't human. And you're just like, and he's introducing you to these characters. And I mean, it had to be something obviously that he did, because it was like some kind of audition or something that he had kind of put together, and that he just kind of had off to the side or something like that. But man, when you hear somebody do something like that, and you hear things like that in SL, like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
mentioning about the Tally and about what he did, and you talking about Sky Galaxy
Mm-hmm.
earlier. I mean, there's just so much incredible talent around here.
Yeah. Did you know there's a film industry? There's a film like
Yeah, naturally, yeah.
in
It's actually
SL.
pretty popular too. Yeah.
I've actually been in a few films. Like a lot of people don't know this, but I've been asked by some producers in SL to be in a couple of films now, and the red carpets are
What
always
kind
done.
of? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, they're like really cool films. The last one I was in was a Predator Alien movie. That was pretty cool. And I'm getting ready to star in a new one actually. That's pretty cool. I just got given the script for it, so that's fun. But yeah, it's kind of cool. There's pro wrestling too. There's all kinds of stuff in SL. I think that personally, I think SL is the best kept secret like on earth. Like, because if you Google, like, how I found SL was I Googled non-violent video games. But turns out that based on drama, SL is the most violent video game. Emotional damage. But you can't really find it. Like, I'm pretty sure, and again, another knock at the Lindens, the marketing department of Linden Labs is just like four chimps in a room with their own feces doing nothing. Like, there's no advertisement. Whereas I feel like if the world knew what you and I knew, like, okay, just take the music scene for example. If what is the music industry? Well, it's Ed Sheeran and Ariana Grande. No, it's not. That's incorrect. The music industry is 100,000 hungry musicians driving 6 hours to play a 2 hour show
The
for
songwriters. It's the
$300 a day.
fans.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that too. But it's also like the road musicians, the people that drive 6 hours to play some
Yep.
bar somewhere. They get paid $300 for the night, and it pays enough for their room, and that, like,
A little bit of a bar tab.
exactly, if the music world in the real world knew about SL, we would be inundated with 100,000 hungry musicians eager to work. But they don't
Oh
know
yeah.
about it. They don't know about it. It's a secret, you know. It's like
Well,
the
and there's a
best
little bit of
kept
a
secret.
learning curve when you first get into SL. And
Yeah,
I mean, there's obviously, I mean, there are ways, and they're trying to sort of, bring people involved. But the folks that be in Linden Labs, and again, it's a slight knock at them in saying this, but getting people involved in things. I mean, they mention about the fact, and they throw all these limitations about gambling and sex and all this other kind of stuff. But there's a lot of stuff on what we can't do instead of things that you can do. And
yeah,
and so after a while, that sort of becomes a almost counterproductive. Like if you want people to get involved in SL and to do things in SL, I mean, SL is at its core a social game.
yeah,
So you really need to expose me to more in the very beginning when I first join on where people around the grid are. And
yeah.
there's not really a place where you can go.
No,
And I know that bloodlines and some of that stuff kind of, you know, caused problems, and there were griefers and stuff like that. And it's I mean, but again, you can mute somebody and block somebody if they get on your nerves. I mean, you have options and things that you can do.
yeah,
I really like to see more people paying attention to that specifically. You know what I mean?
yeah. I agree. And so how what's the word? Influential are you? Like, okay, could you contact the Linton if you wanted to? Like, do you know some
Right.
of these people?
Yeah, yeah, I could. And
Yeah.
and
I
and I
heard that
encourage
about
those
you.
conversations.
I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. I heard
Well,
that
I
you
and
know all the like you're connected. Like you're a guy who can talk to the right people and stuff, and I heard you can contact Lyndon if you want to, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
well, and again, I mean, and sometimes they're receptive, and sometimes they're not, and sometimes they want to talk, and sometimes they really don't, and that's fine too. And again, but I also approach things from a different angle too. Like I offered, I mean, when I first started SecondLife.music, I will be honest, and I actually reached out to Linden Labs and
Yep.
offered them to partner with me on it.
Yep.
They said no, or they didn't respond at all.
Yep.
So I just went forward and started creating
Yep.
things. Now, I mean, that's on them. That was their decision to not move
Yep.
forward, but I did reach out to them
Well,
in the
the thing is,
beginning. So yeah,
what was so aggravating for me is when they tried to make live music more digestible for the newcomer, and they put it in the like you know how you go up to the corner and you find like destinations and stuff like that. So I remember like a couple of years ago they added live music to that section where new players were navigated to find live music, which is a great thing, but big but the venues they listed there were not venues that it's happening at. Like they didn't list like After Dark, they didn't list the Liming, they didn't list Temple Mall, they didn't list all the venues that we all know are the places to be. They listed like
yeah.
venues that not many people go to and obscure venues, and it's like why, not a knock on any of these venues, but it's just like why isn't Temple Mall listed there? It like why
Well,
isn't
why?
Drop
Think
Zone
about it for the
mentioned there? You
birthdays.
know?
I mean, why are they reaching out to the live music venues? I mean, if you see that because at Terry's, I know there were times I had 110 people on the sim. I knew how to do it,
Yeah,
and I did it. And there have been times even now that I can hold 40 people on a sim, and it's pretty. And again, for some things, I've been able to pull more than that. I mean, it really depends on the event that you're having, and you just really and the
yeah.
competition, and there's things that go into that, obviously. But with being able to look at the actual number situation.
Yeah. But you have to be in the scene to know where it's happening, like there are certain
Yeah, but they
venues
know.
like Acoustic Buzz for example, which has the best acts on the grid at it. Like, you know, it's a no-brainer to list that there, but they don't, and it always confused me. Like, why aren't you guys like why are you doing it yourself? Why are you not approaching a big venue in SL and asking them to get involved in the process? Like if
Right. I
you're
mean, at
making
Terry's place,
yeah,
yeah,
if you're
I
making
would
a
have done it.
military
I would have done it.
movie, you pay a professional military man to come in and advise you on things. It's the same thing, like you know. But I don't
Yeah.
do
I
those
mean,
birthdays. I don't do those birthdays because um, you turn up. I've done it twice before, and I never did it again since because here's the thing: you turn up, the sim's full, but 90% of them have their stream off because I can see how many people are listening on my butt program. It's like 9 people listening and 80 people that don't even have it on, and you're not being paid. You're not like being compensated to be there, and It's just like a commercial. Here's 40 acts in one day, but there's no cohesion. There's no, like you said, like I'll play after John Rocky, and John Rocky's amazing, but he plays heavy metal. I play indie
Right.
folk, right? Like it
Yeah,
doesn't make sense to have me
totally
after
different.
Rocky,
Right.
you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. So you want me after someone like Acoustic Energy, you know, or before
Or
Acoustic Energy,
Mac.
or
Yeah.
yeah, you
Like
want
they
the
would at least same lines, right?
exactly
You know.
something that's vaguely similar, you know. Yeah, so you want like a heavy rocker before and after, you know. But there's no organization, and it's just you fill out this form and you sign up, and you know.
Yeah, and they just kind of slap it on a calendar wherever. There's no right. Well, and again, and I think that that's a bigger thing that needs to be sort of decided. Okay, I mean, if there's a big country club, then there should be one big country club, and then there should be a smaller country clubs, but there should be one big one.
Yeah.
And then that there should be like, that should be sort of the focus, and maybe it moves around. Maybe it's not always the same one. I mean, there's room for more than one club, but it's sort of figuring out a way of being able to sort of manage the entertainment world on SL without, and again, I mean, because I work in this in the real world, I also understand the world of copyright. And you as a musician obviously understand that too, and know how
Uh-huh.
important it is to be able to preserve your copyrights and
Yep.
know that, hey, look, I'm not going to play your music. And that's one, IndieSpectrum, I don't play it anywhere that you're not agreeing that it goes. Like, I'm
Yep.
not just, handing it out to every Joe Schmo. Like, I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not what we do. And that's the way it should be. I mean, yeah, you can listen to it, but you're not able to just download your tracks and
No.
everything just right off the
Yeah.
rip, because I mean, again, you need to be able to sell your music too. I mean, that's
Yep.
part of this. So
Yeah. Big time. Like to me, I just feel like the Lindens the Lindens could do, I think, with paying, like I don't know, Kat Chave, however you pronounce her last name, who runs Love Cats. Like, there's
right.
a woman who knows the industry. Her
Yep.
expertise, her wisdom is invaluable. Like, if they could grab someone like Kat and be like, "Hey, let's give you a yearly salary for you to come in and for you to head up our music division at Linden Labs." And you're
Yeah.
going to really from the ground up build this music scene and make it marketable and digestible to newcomers, and not only that, but people that don't even know about SL. Like, and give her a team of marketing people who have degrees in marketing that have just fresh out of university, and they're under her and she's their boss, and like that would be amazing, you know, if someone like that was at the wheel, because
Well,
they're on
even
the
getting
ground with us, they're here with us in it, you know.
Well, and even I think getting together with other venues, and I did this even with Terry's place, and I worked together with the biology club a lot, and I've worked with Templemore before and some things
I used
and
to
some
play
other
at the
stuff.
biology club ages ago. Yeah, yeah, I remember that venue. A good venue.
So being able to, but working with another venue and to to sort of say like, hey, look, let's think outside the box, and now it's not just about Terry's, it's about Terry's and biology club, or it's about
Yep.
Terry's biology club and Temple, and like now you've added other pieces onto this, and so you can start expanding your world, and
Yep.
if you start working with these other venues, and because at the end of the day, we're all in the same business here. It's entertainment, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
what we're here for. So if we can work together to provide that entertainment, if I promote something and I say that I'm not going to do anything while I know you're doing something, then if we come to an agreement on that, then we're able to sort of like say, okay, I got Noma here, you've got Max here. We've both got somebody who's going to bring us a lot of people. So I'm going to send people to you the second they get done with me.
Yep.
It's a keeping in mind that it's not all about you, and
Yeah.
people always about it like that, and that's not the way music doesn't work that way in the real world. It's not going to work that way in Second Life. That's just lack of experience that
Yep.
does that. Like, if you think that that's going to work, it's never going to work.
Yep.
Like, the way to make it work is obviously to get in there and just to to take it one step at a time and to go from there.
Yeah.
So
What do you think? Like, I sell merch at my shows, right? I sell T-shirts, all kinds of stuff like that. And I sell
mhm.
posters, all kinds of stuff, right? What do you think of merch? Do you feel like, because in the real world, if you go to a Bon Jovi concert, there's a T-shirt stand, right? There's places where you can buy that merch. Do you feel like it's tacky? Like, what do you think about the merch aspect of musicians in SL? Like, if Tally was to sell his own posters that people can put in their SL homes, you know?
I like the concept of merch I obviously love because I understand the profitability of merch and I understand how that's a good thing. I think the problem that you run into in SL specifically with merch is that we have so large inventories. I mean, I'm sitting
Yeah.
here looking at my right now. I've got like 46,000 elements, something like that. And I've cleaned up some. So, I mean, that's just telling you that. And it
Yeah.
just, I mean, again, and we all, and I mean, again, I know I'm speaking to the volume. And Casey, obviously, she has like 300 something thousand or something. It's just ridiculous the
Yeah.
amount of just stuff. And so I think that that's a big part of with merch, which makes it a little harder to sell unless you come up with something that's actually useful that you can actually, that's
Yeah.
going to be something like, hey, look, I mean, like, I'm going to promote this because I know that this is something you're going to be able to do, or you're going to be
Yeah.
able to wear some gear, or you're going to be able to do things. And also you kind of have to think about the whole limited edition aspect of it because the permissions thing on SL with stuff too. I mean, you kind of have to think about like, hey, look, I'll make this available for a little while, then somebody else will come out with something and it'll lose its steam, and then I got to have something else to sort of fill into its place. So
Yeah. That's true.
but I think there's a strategy to answer your question. I think there's a strategy to be made with merch. But I think the way that inventory, the way that all of the hunts and all of that kind of stuff, and that we have all these different things in our inventory, and the way that it's currently just, and I,
Yeah.
I say this. And I'm sure there's people out here that are going to disagree with me and say, "Oh no, you don't know what you're talking about." There's plenty of ways to do that. There's not really a great way to just organize your inventory. I mean,
No.
I'm not saying there's not any way, and there
No.
are people out
It's a mess.
Oh,
No. No, it's yeah. We could spend like I used to hang out with some people and they do like regular inventory days where they would all get together on one LAN that
just
was open
out.
permissions and people would just sit there all day just sorting their inventory, and it was never enough. There was always going to be problems with inventory. It's crazy. It's a mess. It is.
Yeah, you just can't get away from it.
No.
You just like you're gonna. So I think that makes merch a little harder, and it's like, because I mean, where do I find it? Like, but if you can make something that is sort of more, front and center, that's going to be something that's going to be. I know Don DeVore had a joint that you could, that would have his name that would kind of poof above your head and stuff like that that he had made at one point in
Yeah.
time, and I've seen some other people that have done some things that were kind of Floyd. I don't know if you ever met Floyd, but he was like a little sarcastic little robot that was
Yep.
that he was also a live singer and stuff like that, and he had this little stuffed robot that you could choke or you could shake or
Wow.
hug or whatever. So yeah, just
That's
I mean,
cool.
and I know there's some other Roulette's got a plush
Well,
and
I
stuff that
mean,
she's doing around too. So I think things like that are a little bit more. And again, I mean, being able to, I mean, and one thing I do understand a little bit by working in the business is, with, SecondLife.music and stuff like that. Like, well, what about kitty cats? Like, why couldn't you
yeah.
partner with somebody like kitty cat
I've thought
to
about it.
have
I've thought, but
custom
the
cat?
problem
You know what?
I've thought about the problem with that is so let's game it out. Let's just say I reach out to Mad P or someone, right? I reach out
Okay.
to someone and I say, look, I want to make a product, maybe a guitar with my name on it, like a Samuel James edition, or maybe some kind of product that I think people are going to buy, some kind of memento, like a cannon gun, but it shoots bird planes, which is kind of a whole inside joke with me and my fans. It's like, first of all, there's two ways I could do that with them. The first way is they create it and I buy it outright for some like 40k lindens or whatever, right? And then I own the perm rights and I sell it at my own discretion. The second way is you do a percentage deal where the cost is low to get it made, but you offer an ongoing 10% fee or maybe the 30, whatever it is, right? Like 40-60% cut into the ongoing sale of the product. But the problem is, no matter what way I go, because being an SL musician in my position, with 350 people in my SL group, 280 on my Scribbo, I'm not that huge, right? Like I might get 20 people at my shows, 25 people at my shows, right? Like, so
It's pretty average for folks. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm never going to be a profitable decision for a company like Mad P to make, right? Like there's no universe in which they're going to look at that like a lucrative deal. This is a company that makes thousands a day. They're not going to see Sam wanting this thing made as something worth investing time into. Like if they were to do that, that would be a bad business decision on their end, right? And so to me, this kind of partnership, like I remember when Selena did it with a shirt brand, and she had a T-shirt made with her name on it with a high-end brand. But that's Selena; she can do that, and I feel like these kind of partnership deals with larger companies will only work for the top artists like Selena, like Amfort, like Max, like Emberly, like Tally. Like if Max sold a shirt, that would be a wise business decision for a clothing company to make. But as far as like me selling a shirt, nah, not really. You know what I mean?
Well, it sort of becomes almost a it's about positioning, right? And so because part of it in the real world is about think about what you need and what you're trying to work with. It's sort of like you and I are sitting here and we're probably both using Firestorm and we're sitting here looking at our computers and stuff like that.
Yep.
When you look at your screen and you see sitting around, what do you see? How can I advertise to myself as I'm sitting here in the situation? Like, what would be the best way in order to do that? So you start thinking like that, and you're like, well, like, so if I, like the coffee cup on your, and then that's how films work, like movies and
Yep.
television shows. Like that's how they work in the real world is like
Yes.
that drink that you have sitting there on the counter, like it'd have a Coke label on it or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, so that's, and again,
Well,
Coke's not
that's a
paying me,
great
so I'll say Pepsi
example.
too.
That's a great example. I mean, so on
Yeah.
average, so this podcast will get around 50 views, right? About 50 people are going
Yeah.
to tune into this, but I've just started, so it's going to grow. And so, at the moment won't work. But if I grow this and I continue to grow this to the point where this has 1,000 views on it, um,
Yeah.
what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to reach out to Mad Pete and say, hey, I'd love to put a product of yours on my coffee table, on the podcast table while we film.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and they would obviously pay me for that, right? Because it's product placement. But at the moment, I haven't got the leverage to do that, right?
I went to a one of the things that I did this years ago, and I was working for a country radio station at the time, and it was a Charlie Daniels show. Believe it or not, I was actually on stage introducing Charlie Daniels, and I knew I was going to be on stage, and it was at like a county fair sort of situation, but there was going to be about 25,000 people in the audience, and I was going to have to introduce him. So I knew that, like, I was going to be on stage introducing Charlie Daniels, on a Saturday night at the county fair. And that's about the capacity of what it was going to be like. So I kind of knew what I was walking into. Well, when this happened, I was like, well, okay. And the sales guy was like, hey, I've got this deal with the Harley dealership. Do you mind if I outfit you with clothes from the Harley dealership that you would wear on stage when you go and you do that? And I'm like, you know what? That's an
Let's do it.
excellent idea. So
Yep.
that's exactly what I did.
Yep.
And they gave me a complete, head to toe outfit, boots and, leather and chaps and jeans and a hat and jacket. And just, I mean, they just went to town and it was just, they decked me head to toe
Yep.
in nothing but Harley gear. And, they were showing off their wardrobe and stuff like that. And it was effective. I mean, I got an outfit at the deal.
Yeah.
But they got some advertising and I got to mention them when I was on stage. And so, I mean, they got mentioned in front of, these are Harley
Yeah.
Davidson clothes in front of 25,000 people. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
That's amazing.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so little things like that. I mean, I think that's where when you start talking about merch, I think that's where you really kind of have to sort of super think about it when you're looking at how to build things and how to do things and just make sure that again, work smart, not hard.
Yeah.
You don't want to create something and spend a whole bunch of time creating something that nobody's going to want. And that gets into the same thing with venues and live performers and stuff like that and just going, I think there's
That's the
definitely a
flag
place
for
to get new
me.
people started. Yeah.
It's the one. So there's one piece of product that I sell that never sells. Like it's just, I don't know why I haven't deleted it because it doesn't sell. And that's the Aussie flag. There's this little Aussie flag you can buy and it costs 50 linens and you wave it. It's got like a wave animation and stuff. And it's like zero sales on that one product. It's like nobody wants the flag, But yeah.
Yeah. Like the hated flag or something. Yeah, I know. It's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you just got to have. I mean, like I said, you just got to think about. I mean, and again, if there's other stuff that's out there that's similar to it or something like that, it's just after a while, it all starts blending together. I mean, we all have all this junk in our inventory, and so I mean, I don't want another piece of junk, and I definitely don't want to pay for another piece of junk. I mean, I might take it for free,
Hmm.
um, but it's about making it memorable. I mean, if you think about, and you've obviously, played some in the real world, so you would understand this a little bit too. You're out playing at a bar or something like that. You toss somebody a guitar pick. It means a little something because that came
Yeah.
directly from you. That's got a little bit more meaning to it.
Yeah.
So it's stuff, your set list or something like that. Like, so that's, or, you took your shirt off and threw it at them. I mean, I
Oh,
mean, it's
I'll
a
tell
little
you,
random,
like
but
sometimes, like some of my fans are really creative, and I've had the privilege of certain fans of mine creating things for me. A fan made a car for me once. They called it the bird plane. It was amazing, but this week, a fan made something, which was just, I loved it so much. I want to show you what they made. I just thought it
please
was,
do.
I thought it was so amazing. I was like, wait, what? Um, I'll just find it real quick. Hold on. Right, here we
Oh,
go.
you're fine.
Let me get to the bottom of all these. You know how inventories are. They're
Uh-huh. We were just talking about that.
full of stuff. Here we go. Found it. So here we go. Let's put this here. See if we can res this out here. See if it works for me. It's pretty prim heavy, so it might take a minute to res, but I love this thing. It's amazing. Look at this. This is a life-size statue that someone made of me. Check that out.
Oh my word.
I
Look at
know,
that.
I know. It's like someone made a statue of me,
A
which
statue of you
I
in
know.
clothes.
The
I mean, you could
clothes, everything. It's so cool. It's like there's me and my guitar, and it's so crazy. And I just thought, wow, what an interesting thing. I loved it so much. Yeah,
yeah,
so
but just
that's
stuff like
amazing.
that, man, being able to just, I mean, again, there are talent, and that's another thing. Like, as a musician, you do understand that music is not the only talent there is. There are talented artists, there are talented, clothing creators, there's talented all kinds of things. I mean, people have all kinds of talents,
Yeah.
and so that part doesn't matter. So yeah, when somebody does something like that for you, it's just like, man, I mean, look at this. I mean,
Yeah, it's
it's just
so cool, man.
the
It's like they made a
detail and the
statue
work
and
on
stuff.
it, and the fact that they even cared to do that is just amazing.
I
So it
know,
really is.
it's so crazy. I thought about making it really small and having like a figurine on the table, but I thought that's a bit obnoxious having a figurine of yourself on the coffee table. You know,
Well,
it's
turn it
like
into a
it's so
tip jar, just put like tip
yeah.
script in it.
Turn,
It
turn into a
spreads out
tip jar.
yourself
It's a
and
great idea. But yeah, I got this
leave
car
it on the
too.
stage. That way, when you res, that somebody
Yeah.
else will tip it.
Yeah, but sometimes there's so many talented people in the grid, and I'm lucky that some of them happen to come to my shows. They're so talented. I have this one person who's an excellent photographer, and almost every show they come to, they always take a picture and they always send me the picture afterwards, and it's so well done. It's amazing, you know.
Great, that's awesome. That's
Well,
so much fun. So,
there's also a company
well,
I'm
this is
working with at the moment, Studio One. We're working on some albums, which is pretty cool. But yeah,
oh nice, very cool, man. That'll be fun. You'll have to tell me more about that when those come out, and we might get you
yeah.
some more play on IndieSpectrum Radio too,
Yeah,
man. It'll be
man.
kind of
It
fun.
sounds fun to me, dude. Yeah, it's been great hanging out with you, dude. It's been really fun. I want you, before we wrap this up, I want you to tell people where they can find you, where they can find, like, the website name, things like that. It'll be in the description, by the way, guys. So, but just tell people, like, where they can find more about all the stuff that you're involved in.
So the best way to find me is go online to SecondLife.music. That is my website. That is coming directly to me. There are 4 different radio stations there. IndieSpectrum Radio is one of them. I'm also a co-owner of IndieSpectrum Radio, and you will be able to make requests through that and all that good stuff. But SecondLife.music is usually the best way. My email address is ninja@secondlife.music.
Mm.
And it's right there on the SecondLife.music website as well. So you can email me if I'm not in world and online, and message me there as well if you're looking to have an interview done, or if you want me to come maybe perform one of your shows live on the radio. We might be able to do that too. Just shoot me a message and let me know if you want me to come hang. If you want to, obviously show up at our monthly open mics, you can do that too. But you'll get all the latest information at SecondLife.music. That's the best place to find me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate that.
Hey, my pleasure, brother.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. I haven't gotten to catch up with you in a while, so this has been a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it's been a minute, man. It's been a minute. Yeah. So we'll just